Alright guys, I did a little test here. I got a Osprey V2. Well, I'm gonna call it a V2. And after the first one flew so good, everything was great. Did a lot of 45 conversions. You may or may not have seen my videos that I've posted where I was flying it, forward, 45-degree mode, and vertical, just doing all kinds of transitions. Anyways, I crashed that one, bought a second one about a year later, and because I love the first one so much. And on maiden, it did a really weird stall. I went to go into transition mode. I went from forward flight into 45-degree, and what happened was the whole rear section, it just acted like all of a sudden like it was tail heavy, and it dropped down and stalled out and just ended up bad. Well, I rebuilt it this last weekend. Not the last weekend here in September, but the weekend before. I had it rebuilt, took it back out, and tried to take off in 45-degree mode, and it did the same thing. I mean, as soon as it lifted off way too early and just dropped the tail and started going skyward. My CG was right and everything, and luckily enough, I spooled it up enough, got enough altitude, and then flipped it over into vertical and saved it. And so I'm like, man, and that was after doing that new calibration process that Pete posted where you flip the wing, like 6-7 times and do all that. And when I did that, it did some things with the ESCs and the motors, and I was like, okay, everything's all good. So when I came back, I thought, I'm going to go back to my original board, and I'm going to try that because that board flew so good. So I actually also received a second board from a member on RCGROUPs to verify whether my board or not. He said, go ahead and have it. So I put the new board in my Osprey right after I came back that day from flying. And I tried putting it through the calibration mode, and it didn't calibrate. It didn't do the things like the V2 board does. So I'm going to show you that. Here's what I'm calling the V2 board, and I wrote on it V2. This came out of my new Osprey, okay? And here is the one that I was given by an RC group member. My other one is sitting in my Osprey, which is right there, and it's ready to go. Well, the board in there, and this board do the same thing, which are both what I'm going to call V1s, because they came out of the first release. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, first of all, the V2 board. I have it hooked up right now with the motors, and I'm going to power it up, and I'm going to show you what it does when you go through that calibration process. And then I'm going to hook up this one, and I'm going to show you what that one does. And that definitely shows me that there is a difference between these boards. Okay, so I've just powered up this board. And you heard that, you didn't hear it, but before I got to start the video on this section here, the motors did their and they were all sounded good. Everything was all good, right? So I'm going to flip now the wing servos. I'm going to do it a bunch of times here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at that. Look at that. It just calibrated. It did something to the ESCs. Okay? Cool. Right? All right. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to disconnect this one. And I'm still getting a weird thing where when I go into throttle, you can see my outputs here, I don't get any movement until I get to just about 50. There we go. Just about 50%. You probably heard that. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hook up the other board, and we're going to show you what that one does. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and power this one up now. Watch this. Now this is the V1 board. Blue light's on, that's good, right? Holding blue. Oh, now look at that. Okay, now it's blinking. So I'm going to go ahead. Now the other one held blue. This one held blinking. So I'm going to go ahead and do the calibration again. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it did it once, with the motors. We didn't stay on blue, we went back to blinking red. Okay, notice the difference. This is a V1, and that other one was a V2. So now I'm going to actually pull out my Osprey. I'm going to put it on the bench. We're going to do that one as well too. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and fire up now I got another V1. I got my original board in this one. And you'll have to look in here. You'll see the light come on in here. I'm going to go ahead and power this one up. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and just switch it once so you can see the wings switching.
Fixed wing.
Light's still blue in there.
Hover mode.
Hover mode. Okay, so now we're going to try that switch thing, right? I'm going to do it again 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it never changed the lights. Look at that. Never did any kind of calibration or nothing. Nothing. Didn't change the lights or nothing. Let me go back again. Vertical mode. I'm going to try this again. Actually, you know what? Let's start in fixed wing down this time, because I started in the other ones in all fixed wing. We're going to start in fixed wing mode. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Never changed. Never once changed. Never calibrated anything. Didn't do nothing. Just kind of stayed the way it is. So what I'm really curious about, I'm going to go back. Let me see here if I can actually get some props spinning on this one. Actually, I want to see if the prop speed is going to go at the same speed that the other one did just a second ago. I'm not going to go much prop, just a little bit, just to spin them. So I don't remember if it did or not, but okay, so we got throttle on the first one here. I'm going to go throttle.
Active, 85 dB. Speed,
Look at that.
0.
Throttle spinning already before I even...
dB. Speed, 9. 83 dB. Speed, 11.
So, yeah, definitely different board,
0. Throttle home.
different calibration. I'm really curious to fly this one again and see if it flies the same way that it did originally.
Telemetry lost.
Yeah, see what anybody's thoughts are. But this is definitely a V1. I got this one like right when this thing was released. I did the pre-order and everything. So this is definitely one of the first boards that came out. And this other one, the second one that I got from the other RC Groups member, he got his around the same time I did. Maybe like a month or so later, I think. So I would call that one a V1 board. And then the new one that calibrates and does all kinds of different stuff, that was definitely a full year later. So see what you guys think. Any thoughts? I'm curious.